Alô, alô, alô. Hoje então nós vamos assistir os vídeos da... Puxa. Tá aparecendo uma bagunça atrás do cenário aqui. Hoje nós vamos assistir então os vídeos da ONU, né? Como foi prometido no episódio 3, né? Então hoje é episódio 4, né? Da Segunda Guerra Mundial. Quarto episódio já, hein? E vamos fazer o quinto também, viu? Nós vimos os 3 primeiros episódios da Segunda Guerra Mundial, que ela foi uma guerra terrível, 60 milhões de mortos, lembra? Aí nós vimos que depois que acabou a guerra, queriam criar uma organização, né, para manter a paz, para evitar, né, novas guerras como que aconteceu, né? Aí criaram a ONU, né? Tinha a missão de manter a paz mundial, e a ONU com o tempo foi ampliando o seu raio de ação, né? Não é só manter a paz, tem que criar as condições para a paz, senão não dá, né? Tipo justiça social, melhores condições para os mais pobres, né? Direitos humanos, aí sim, né? Mas sem isso não tem como manter a paz, né? Nós vimos isso no episódio 3. Aí eu tinha prometido para vocês filmes da ONU e filmes sobre a ONU. Aí tá, é o vento. Aí vamos ver hoje, viu? Inclusive vamos ver também algumas reportagens sobre o famoso Sérgio Vieira de Mello, o brasileiro de maior destaque na ONU, né? O diplomata lá que promovia a paz pelo mundo, né? Brasileiro, hein? Já pensou? Uau, né? Ele virou tipo um herói, hein? Herói nacional, né? Do Brasil. Sai até um filme sobre ele no cinema, né? Nesses tempos aí, né? Com o ator Wagner Moura. Poderoso, né? Sabia disso? Não sabia, né? Por que eles não divulgam essas coisas, né? É difícil, né? Ok? E ele foi, né, um grande exemplo, né, para todo o povo brasileiro, né? Tá bom? Então nós vamos ver algumas reportagens sobre ele, viu? E deem atenção também, porque nesses tempos sombrios que o Brasil está vivendo atualmente, né, ter um exemplo, né, como o Sérgio Vieira de Mello, né, é bom, né, para dar esperança pra gente, né? Então, vamos lá! Filminhos da ONU para vocês, para nós todos, vamos assistir, é legal, tá, é isso aí, agora, começa agora, ok.
Um relatório das Nações Unidas mostra uma queda no número de mutilações genitais femininas no mundo. Mesmo assim, cerca de 30 milhões de meninas ainda correm o risco de serem submetidas a essa tradição secular nos próximos 10 anos.
A ONU analisou dados de 29 países da África e do Oriente Médio. Muitas pessoas acreditam que a retirada do clitóris reduz o desejo sexual e mantém as mulheres fiéis. Isso garantiria um casamento adequado, castidade e honra familiar. A operação costuma ser feita por curandeiros que usam tesouras e lâminas raramente esterilizadas. As consequências a longo prazo incluem disfunção sexual, complicações no parto, incontinência e problemas psicológicos. Em alguns países, grupos de mulheres têm feito campanhas para advertir sobre os perigos da mutilação genital. A ONU identificou um aumento do número de pessoas que se opõem a essa prática, também chamada de circuncisão feminina, mas alerta que essa cultura ainda é muito forte em diversas comunidades. Calcula-se que 125 milhões de meninas e mulheres vivas foram submetidas à mutilação genital.
A mutilação genital feminina foi oficialmente banida pelo parlamento da região autônoma do Kurdistão, no norte do Iraque. A lei proibindo a prática foi aprovada por grande margem. A Organização Mundial da Saúde, a OMS, é contra a mutilação genital feminina e apoia o abandono da prática, que danifica tecidos genitais femininos saudáveis e normais. A mutilação é considerada uma violação dos direitos de mulheres e meninas. De acordo com a ONU, é uma prática que reflete uma profunda desigualdade entre os sexos. É também um ato extremo de discriminação à mulher. A estimativa é de que 100 a 140 milhões de mulheres e crianças no mundo sofram as consequências da mutilação genital feminina. Da Rádio ONU em Nova York, Daniela Gross.
We don't have any power or force to enforce our advice except the willingness of the countries to accept or reject. As you remember, on January 30, we declared the highest level of emergency, global emergency on COVID. During that time, as you may remember, there were only 82 cases outside China. No cases in Latin America, actually. No cases in Africa. Only 10 cases in Europe. No deaths in the rest of the world. Nothing. And every country could have triggered all its public health measures possible. And then we advised the whole world to implement a comprehensive public health approach. And we said, find, test, isolate, and do contact tracing, and so on. One thing I would like to assure you is we will continue to give advice based on science and evidence. And then it will be up to the countries whether to take it or not.
Nature is sending us a clear message. We are harming the natural world to our own detriment. Habitat degradation and biodiversity loss are accelerating. Climate disruption is getting worse. Fires, floods, droughts, and superstorms are more frequent and damaging. Oceans are eating and acidifying, destroying coral ecosystems. And now a new coronavirus is raging, undermining health and livelihoods. To care for humanity, we must care for nature. We need our entire global community to change course. Let's rethink what we buy and use, adopt sustainable habits, farming and business models, safeguard remaining wild spaces and wildlife, and commit to a green and resilient future. As we work to build back better, let us put nature where it belongs, at the heart of our decision-making. On this World Environment Day, it's time for nature.
من حقي أعيش وأكون ويكون عندي هوية.
من حقي أعبر وأشارك وأرسم وأغني.
من حقي أقاتل.
من حقي أعيش في بيئة نظيفة مهيئة.
من حقي أتعلم.
من حقي ألعب. من حقي أختار. من حقي أعيش حياة خالية من التحرش.
من حقي أعيش حياة خالية من الضرب والتنمر. من حقي أعرف حقوقي.
من حقي أمشي مدرسة وأرجع.
Acabar com a violência contra as mulheres começa por uma coisa muito simples: o respeito. Eu respeito o seu corpo. Respeite o meu também. Tudo começa pelo respeito.
now. Mum, I'm worried about my friend getting too hot. Attention! This is an emergency! I'm trying to help, but no one's listening. I promise I'll get them to understand before it's too late.
Around the world, violence against women and girls, especially rape, is skyrocketing. Many incidents have triggered widespread outrage, yet some keep trying to play the oldest game in the book, the blame game. Blame the COVID-19 pandemic, blame social and economic stress, blame uncertainty, even outrageously blame the victim, usually a woman or worse still, a girl. Blame anything, everything but the perpetrator. Let's be really clear. Sexual violence, in any form of violence, is simply violence. There is absolutely no excuse, there is no justification, and there must be zero tolerance. All of us must stand together and speak out. Try by joining the EU and the UN initiative on Spotlight to fight violence against women everywhere, in our societies, our communities, and at home. I'm the proud mother of 4 daughters. But the loudest voices urging me to speak up came from my sons. And they said, "Mum, this is already a dangerous issue. It's in our chat spaces. You need to do something about it. People will listen." I'm not sure people will listen, but if I can make a difference in one woman's life, then it is worth speaking about it. When I asked what they were hearing, they said it varies. Some say violence is not right, but others appallingly say women asked for it. Really? You and I know that men and boys who commit violence against women and girls are just simply not men. They're weak. It's shameful. They are, sadly, the textbook definition of a coward. And for those who turn a blind eye or deaf ear saying, it's a private matter, know that you too are accomplices to violence. Now we can agree to disagree, but because of these attitudes, millions of women and girls face the clear and present danger of the threat of violence and rape every day, at home, in school, and these days online. Men and boys, fathers and sons, husbands, we must have this conversation. Take responsibility, speak up, stand with women and girls. Let's join hands with survivors of violence, including rape. Listen to their stories. Let's call out victim blaming and shaming. Let's rally our communities to say no to gender-based violence. Let's remember that if not for a woman and her 9 months of labor, I'm not sure that you men would be here today. So let's stand with our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our partners, and together let's declare in one voice, I'm with her.
Bonjour à tous, nous sommes les ALGUNS au siège à Paris, un siège qui est désormais très vide puisque nous passons tous aujourd'hui en télétravail. Devant cette crise qui est d'abord une crise pour la santé publique, nos pensées sont d'abord bien entendu pour tous les malades et tous ceux qui souffrent aujourd'hui, qui se battent contre le coronavirus. Mais nous devons rester mobilisés parce que cette crise nous dit aussi plusieurs choses qui sont très chères à la mission de l'UNESCO. Elle nous dit que la coopération scientifique internationale est centrale quand nous avons à faire face à une crise de santé publique mondiale. Elle nous dit que l'éducation doit être assurée dans sa continuité, alors qu'aujourd'hui, tant d'enfants ne peuvent pas aller à l'école. Elle nous dit l'importance aussi de la circulation d'une information de qualité et fiable, alors que se développent de fausses nouvelles et de rumeurs. C'est pourquoi l'UNESCO, même dans ses locaux qui sont aujourd'hui vides, à distance, tout le personnel de l'UNESCO se mobilise pour soutenir les gouvernements, pour l'éducation à distance, pour la coopération scientifique, pour le soutien à l'information et pour qu'ensemble nous partagions les connaissances plutôt que ce virus. Je compte aussi sur vous.
I want to be back to normal. I even have a bucket list of things that I would like to do when I'm back to my normal life, like going running on the beach, traveling, hugging my niece, going to a restaurant. I want to do all those things when I'm back to normal. It's like the womankind history is now being divided before and after the pandemic. And we are trapped in this between time, waiting to see again normal life. Guess what? I have bad news for you. The old normal life is gone. Now that we learn that we have pandemics and that we can have other types of pandemics knocking on our doors, our life is going to be changed. And we have to be prepared for that. Please don't cry. Don't cry. Because, the old normal is like some of our old boyfriends, a little bit overrated. They were not that good. In our old normal life, we have people in the planet dying of starvation, lack of water, lack of health, no vaccination, living in places where they have a war for ethnical reasons, for religion reasons, for race, or even as simple as they have oil, we want your oil, or your water, we want your water. But you're going to tell me, Marcia, I don't live in these uncivilized places. Where I live, I don't have that. I want my normal life back. Where you live, women make lower salaries than men for the same job. And if it happens that these women have a kid, the salary and the growth in the career is even slower. In the place where you live, you rarely see a female CEO. In fact, you see male, white, tall men coming from privileged families. Finding a black female CEO is as easy as finding a unicorn. In the place where you live, scientists have been telling over and over that you have a climate change disaster, that we can face problems with energy, water, that violence is going to grow because we are not dividing properly the resources, that in some places we have waste of food, and in others we don't have food at all. In some places we have waste of water, and in others we don't have water at all. And that health is not present everywhere. And that there are kids that never will have the chance to have education. That's the old, horrible, old normal. Now that we are in our homes, we have to think that when you are looking to the advice of the scientists in the back, and we just told them, well, I don't believe you, or either, okay, I believe you, but I'm going to take care of that tomorrow. I have a surprise for you. Tomorrow arrives. And because tomorrow arrives, and we're trapped in this between time, between before and after the pandemic, some of the solutions for those old problems from the old normal are popping up. Nowadays, people are sharing more the activities, the home activities, and between men and women. And we are discovering that a number of things that we refused to do in the past and that was a burden for the women now can be shared between women and men. The education, the cleaning the housing, the cooking. Also, we discovered that the impossible idea of giving resources to the ones that have not resource at all, it's a possibility. And we have been giving money to people to survive the pandemic. Also, we are learning that sharing health and education resources, it's a possibility. Yes, we can do that. And that putting human lives in front of economics is also a possibility. Wow, we are learning that. Guess what? I have good news for you. And the good news is that during this break period, we are learning to solve long-term problems from humanity. And from now on, you can design the new normal. And this new normal, I propose, will be built on 4 elements, 4 pillars. I call them the 4 E's. The first E is evidence. We are going now on to make our decisions regarding where to invest, where to put our effort, who to listen, who is going to run things based on evidence, on proof. The second E is efficient. We have to run an efficient world, a world where you don't find places in which you have waste and places in which you have nothing. And to be efficient, there is one key element, that's diversity. Studies show that if you have gender diversity, if you have ethnical diversity, you have race diversity, you make more money because creativity comes from binding different life experience. So equity is my third word. We are going to build a world in which different people have the same possibility. I'm not talking about equality. Equality is like me and a 2 meters tall person to play basketball against each other. I have no chance to win. I'm very short height. Equity is when you give really a chance for people to show their possibilities. So we have to build a world on equity, a world where women with kids have chance to be a CEO. So let's put the CEO's shelves down so people that were not that tall can have a chance to become a CEO. And the fourth element of this thing is empathy. We'll be unable to share all the resources between each other if you don't have empathy. Empathy will be the key instrument to make possible to create universal health that we're doing now, universal education that we're doing now, and universal basic income that we're doing now. We are showing today, in this break, in this between time, we are showing that it's possible, it's feasible to construct a new normal with evidence, efficient, equity, and empathy. Join me in this journey, and it'll be very easy. You just have to keep doing what we have been doing so far, helping each other, making a society in which you don't compete with unfair rules. You build the rules that make everybody to succeed together. Together, we can.
This year, on Human Rights Day, we celebrate the role of young people in bringing human rights to life. Globally, young people are marching, organizing, and speaking out for the right to a healthy environment, for the equal rights of women and girls, to participate in decision-making, and to express their opinions freely. They are marching for their right to a future of peace, justice, and equal opportunities. Every single person is entitled to all rights, civil, political, economic, social, and cultural, regardless of where they live, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, social origin, gender, sexual orientation, political or other opinion, disability or income, or any other status. On this International Day, I call on everyone to support and protect young people who are standing up for human rights.
Teaching is difficult. It needs a good motivation. I'm teaching these children to be the doctor and the president and the pilot.
Ngano gahoy kala da dual.
How many children are there? In the morning time, I'm going to teach the children. But in the afternoon, I come to teach the adult people. I'm forwarding the people to be like me or to be like other people who are here on the world.
On this International Mother Earth Day, all eyes are on the COVID-19 pandemic, the biggest test the world has faced since the Second World War. We must work together to save lives, ease suffering, and lessening the shattering economic and social consequences. The impact of the coronavirus is both immediate and dreadful. But there is another deep emergency, the planet's unfolding environmental crisis. Biodiversity is in steep decline, and climate disruption is approaching a point of no return. We must act decisively to protect our planet from both the coronavirus and the existential threat of climate disruption. The current crisis is an unprecedented wake-up call. We need to turn the recovery into a real opportunity to do things right for the future. I'm therefore proposing 6 climate-related actions to shape the recovery and the work ahead. First, as we spent huge amounts of money to recover from coronavirus, we must deliver new jobs and businesses through a clean, green transition. Second, where taxpayers' money is used to rescue businesses, it needs to be tied to achieving green jobs and sustainable growth. Third, fiscal firepower must drive a shift from the grey to the green economy and make societies and people more resilient. Fourth, public funds should be used to invest in the future, not the past, and flow to sustainable sectors and projects that help the environment and the climate. Fossil fuel subsidies must end, and polluters must start paying for their pollution. Fifth, climate risks and opportunities must be incorporated into the financial system, as well as all aspects of public policy making and infrastructure. Sixth, we need to work together as an international community. These 6 principles constitute an important guide to recovering better together. Greenhouse gases, just like viruses, do not respect national boundaries. On this Earth Day, please join me in demanding a healthy and resilient future for people and planet alike. This year's message for the International Day for Biological Diversity is clear. Our solutions are in nature. Preserving and sustainably managing biodiversity is necessary for mitigating climate disruption, guaranteeing water and food security, and even preventing pandemics. COVID-19, which emanated from the wild, has shown how human health is intimately connected with our relationship to the natural world. As we encroach on nature and deplete vital habitats, increasing number of species are at risk. That includes humanity and the future we want. As we seek to build back better than from the current crisis, let us work together to preserve biodiversity so we can achieve our sustainable development goals. This is how we will protect health and well-being for generations to come. As the COVID-19 pandemic spreads, another virus is infecting our lives: misinformation. Millions of people are being exposed to dangerous claims that COVID-19 doesn't exist, or that a miracle cure has been found, or that the virus emerged as a result of a plot to destroy humanity or make profits. A tsunami of hate, xenophobia, scapegoating, and scaremongering has been unleashed. This infodemic is proliferating and potentially deadly. We cannot cede our virtual spaces to those who traffic in lies, fear, and hate. Misinformation spreads online, in messaging apps, and person to person. Its creators use savvy production and distribution methods. To counter it, scientists and institutions like the United Nations need to reach people with accurate information they can trust. That is why we are launching Verified, an initiative to share compelling, clear content, fact-based advice, and stories highlighting the best of humanity. With Verified, we can fight lies and conspiracies with science and life-saving health advice, hate speech with solidarity, despair with hope, and with solutions for how to recover better. Good communication saves lives.
Eu quero uma sociedade sustentável, que consegue construir sem destruir, que trabalha para as pessoas e para a natureza. Sustentabilidade não é uma questão técnica, precisa de respostas humanas. Uma sociedade sustentável clama por novos valores, que celebram culturas que incluem e não excluem. Uma sociedade aberta ao diálogo entre as pessoas e entre as nações. Eu quero um futuro verde e azul. E você?
The human cost of COVID-19 has been devastating, and the so-called lockdown measures have turned lives upside down. But the pandemic has given us a glimpse of what our world could look like if we took the bold steps that are needed to curb climate change and air pollution. Our air and water can be cleaner, our streets can be quieter and safer, and many of us have found new ways to work while spending more time with our families. As some countries start to reopen their societies and economies, the question we must answer is whether we will just return to the way things were, or whether we will learn the lessons the pandemic is teaching us about our relationship with our planet. Building back better means building back greener.
O mundo precisa de mais educação, ciências e cultura para encontrar soluções sustentáveis para os desafios atuais, para construir a paz, combater a mudança climática e, por fim, a pobreza extrema. Precisamos nos concentrar em inovação, criatividade e novas ideias. Devemos compartilhar conhecimento para avançar. Todos os dias, a Unesco oferece treinamento e apoio aos pesquisadores, professores, jornalistas e artistas para informar, educar, abrir mentes e promover o respeito. Desde 1945, a Unesco tem atuado como um laboratório de ideias, imaginando o mundo de amanhã, construindo a paz nas mentes dos homens e das mulheres. Hoje, nossa missão é mais relevante do que nunca. Ajudar 260 milhões de crianças e jovens fora da escola a receber educação e aprimorar as habilidades de quase 800 milhões de adultos no mundo todo, sendo que 2/3 deles são mulheres que não conseguem ler nem escrever. Devemos agir agora para proteger os direitos humanos e a dignidade. As Nações Unidas definiram 17 objetivos para alcançar o desenvolvimento sustentável até 2030. Para ter sucesso, devemos investir em forças que levem à mudança sustentável, treinar 70 milhões de novos docentes e garantir que todos possam receber educação de qualidade. Garantir a transmissão do patrimônio a novas gerações e aceitar a diversidade cultural, de maneira que possamos compreender e respeitar uns aos outros. Defender a liberdade de expressão e o acesso à informação. Fortalecer a cooperação científica para proteger nosso planeta e seu oceano. Para alcançar esses objetivos emergenciais, precisamos construir pontes e parcerias mais sólidas com governos, empresas, organizações, sociedade civil e cidadãos. Junte-se a nós hoje para tornar esses objetivos uma realidade. Juntos vamos mobilizar nossa inteligência coletiva para trazer à tona o melhor de nossa humanidade compartilhada.
In the United Nations is that such processes must be led by nationals. Bueno, el reto principal para nosotros es asegurarnos de que el pueblo iraquí tenga la prioridad, merezca la prioridad en la definición de su futuro y de su destino.
O Secopab achou por bem escolher como seu patrono Sérgio Vieira de Mello, cidadão brasileiro que durante 34 anos prestou serviço junto às Nações Unidas.
A memória dele é muito presente no nosso dia a dia e a presença dele continua no nosso trabalho.
Sergio de Mello, the world's Mr. Fix-It.
All right, everyone, let's get together.
Most powerful official in UN history.
Now the question is, what to do with all that power? My work is in the field.
You said you were going out.
Where people are suffering, where people need help.
But I heard you through the wall.
So Bush wants you in Iraq. They can send anybody else. It doesn't have to be you.
It's not easy for me to do. I want to help see this country free. This mission requires the very best. Doesn't look very welcoming.
This is Baghdad, Sergio.
You still think you can walk away after 4 months?
I do.
You hear me? Are you okay? Jesus Christ. You're Sergio de Mello. Remember what happened?
What a waste for you to be pulled under the wall.
I know what I want for my life, Sergio. What do you want for yours?
What a shame.
Pull together everything.
We're going public?
Can't do that, Sergio. You're here to support the U.S. That's the only reason you're here.
The reason I'm here is because you broke it. And you have no idea how to put it back together.
I speak loud.
Is the UN just a cover for the American occupation?
Don't suggest for a second we're here supporting the United States or the coalition.
Sergio, I need you to stay with me. I have survivors. Do you copy? We're running out of time.
There's nothing else coming.
You need to leave the area.
I need to find him. Do you hear me?
The most important thing for me was the way Sergio looked at people. He looked at George Bush the same way he looked at someone that was, a janitor or someone that was working in his administration. It's now more clear to me than ever why we're here, and why I asked you, my colleagues, my friends, to join me on this mission, and why this mission requires the very best. Sergio was a very elegant man. He was a very sophisticated man, so therefore his posture was almost like a dancer's posture. He walked in a very elegant way. He was a very smart and pragmatic negotiator. The age of occupation is over, Mr. President. They just want to be acknowledged as what they are, because the way you look at them will determine the way the whole world will look at you. Sergio speaks English and French, and he spoke 5 or 6 languages. So I speak English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, of course. But in English, I had to work a lot on the way he spoke English, because his accent was sort of a mix of, it was a little British, but with a little French flavor.
He wants the president of Indonesia to apologize for 24 years of war. And he wants full independence for East Timor. It's impossible.
There is a lot of footage of Sergio in action, doing his job. And for me, what I learned, first of all, there's a big responsibility, because we're talking about the lives of people who really existed. What I try to do is I try to learn as much as possible about these characters, and then create my own version. You have no authority to tell me what I can or cannot do.
The Security Council mandate is very clear. You're here to support our effort to stabilize and rebuild Iraq. That's the only reason you're here.
The only reason I'm here is because you broke it. And you have no idea how to put it back together again. I'm not Sergio, and each actor that would play that very same character would do it differently, right? I mean, when you watch actors playing characters like Hamlet, in each one of them you're gonna see a completely different character, though it's the same one. He's a mix of...
Eu sou vida. Eu sou o lar de milhões. E sustento ainda mais. A minha abundância traz prosperidade, enquanto a minha escassez pode ser mortal. Eu cubro grande parte da terra e a minha influência estende-se muito mais além. Eu tenho estado presente há mais tempo do que pode imaginar. Mas o meu mundo está ameaçado. As pessoas precisam de prestar atenção e fazer mais para garantir o meu futuro. Porque eu mereço ser protegida. A sua saúde depende da minha saúde. A sua vida depende da minha. Eu sou as plantas. Eu sou vida. Proteger as plantas, proteger a vida. Ano Internacional da Sanidade Vegetal 2020.
Bolsa Família e depois o Brasil Sem Miséria, eles abriram uma nova perspectiva de debate de políticas públicas e pobreza no Brasil e eu acho que no mundo também. O principal ganho do Brasil é no que diz respeito a ter conseguido trazer as crianças para a rede pública, né? Tanto na educação quanto na saúde. Então, hoje a gente pode dizer que nós conseguimos sim romper, que eu acho que era o grande objetivo do Bolsa Família, o ciclo intergeracional da pobreza, que se repete o quê? Com crianças que se alimentam mal, desnutridas, que acabam entrando tarde na escola, saindo cedo da escola, morrendo cedo, né? Então, esse desenho é um desenho superado no Brasil quando você olha o conjunto das nossas crianças. Nós já reduzimos o déficit das crianças, déficit de altura das crianças em mais de 50%. Quer dizer, as crianças deixaram de morrer por desnutrição E as crianças que sobreviveram, quer dizer, essas crianças estão vivendo e estão vivendo já superando uma tragédia, que eram crianças que se desenvolviam mal, quer dizer, as crianças estão se desenvolvendo muito mais. Esses jovens na escola, bem alimentados, cumpriram, acho que a nossa principal agenda, que é ter construído um outro país.
Bom, eu acho que o Bolsa Família e esta política de transferência de renda que o governo brasileiro vem desenvolvendo nestes últimos anos, realmente ela demonstrou ser extremamente eficiente e muito importante para o país e demonstrou que, muito mais além das possíveis dúvidas se era ou não assistencial, uma política realmente de uma grande eficiência para promover o desenvolvimento humano e o desenvolvimento sustentável do país. O que eu gosto